Well, Kevin, you've really brought an array of plants, and I know it was a really warm day today, so it's, some of these are,
Some are a little wilty.
yeah, a little wilty, but that's okay because they're invasives, okay?
Right, they're all going to die after this.
Exactly. It's a precursor. But tell me, managing invasive plants is really quite a challenge. It takes persistence. So
Yes.
what is some of your, I'll say, management techniques before we get into identifying all of these?
Well, you hit it right on the nail on the head. Is that the number one ingredient for controlling invasive species is persistence. It's a commitment, and it's going to take years for particularly these highly invasive species. And then after that, generally, you can, if you have a small area, small infestation, you can do that mechanically or by hand. But larger infestations are going to require chemical, unless you're just going to devote your life to grubbing them out,
yes.
one by one. But so often we recommend glyphosate. It's pretty good for most of these species. There'll be one exception to that I'll mention later.
Okay, do you recommend broadleaf spraying or more of a cut and paint type approach?
I recommend more cut and paint type. We try to be very surgically precise with our kills. There's situations on, for example, our natural light preserves, we can't do that. We do aerial spraying on big stands of like Phragmites. But for most people in their yards or small properties, yeah, cut and paint would be the way to go.
Yeah, at Maymont, we've been battling, you can imagine, battling invasives for years, and I would like to say I've turned the corner and I can see the victory in sight, but we all know that's fleeting. But anyway, let me live in my little world. Yes. But we use the cut and paint approach. So when we cut the stem, we quickly have that little baby food jar filled with glyphosate, and we're painting away so that the chemical just goes right to where we want it.
Right on your target, nothing else.
Nothing else, nothing else. But speaking of targets, you've got some good ones here, my friend.
So here's some targets. Hear about some targets. We got, well, here, this is a autumn olive, and it likes some dry, open habitat, full sun, and all these species will alter their community type, so they'll add by adding a structural layer. So in an open field, this will overtop all the meadow species and choke them out by growing in a very dense patch, and can cover any opening area. That will just keep going unless it's checked by human management at this point.
Yes.
And
the attribute to that was as a lovely fall fragrant flower, and it's hard to convince people.
Right.
It's got this wonderful flower, but we still have to get rid of it.
All of these except one are here because in some way they're pretty.
Yes.
Maybe two, but yeah, it's pretty. It has a nice fruit. The fruit is also edible, which also birds, deer, bear also love it, and they're the ones that spread it then around.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
And
another one that was introduced because of its ornamental value.
Right, Chinese privet, and this one likes more shaded forest area, wet areas along stream banks, and shaded, partially shaded forest. And it does produce a nice little flower, fragrant flower, and then a lovely looking berry, which again the birds love, and they eat them and spread them. And that's what we call a vector for an invasive species, how they get around. You know, plants are rooted, but they get around, right?
Yes,
and it's the seeds that let them get around in this case.
But they make colonies.
Yeah, dense shrub understories where there formerly wasn't one. And they can even then begin suppressing the overstory species by not allowing the seedlings to grow up through them. So that's how they begin altering the entire natural community.
Yes, and boy, can they alter it. I was in a national park the other day, and the crew was cutting this and chipping it, and I was just smiling. I was a very happy visitor.
Right.
So, speaking of another one that's challenging, though.
So another shrub, Amur honeysuckle, again, brought here for the horticulture trade because it's got the lovely honeysuckle-like flowers, tubular flowers with a beautiful fragrance, lovely red, bright red berries. And again, spread by wildlife. And this one also likes forest understory and creates a dense shrub layer where there wasn't one normally in our native shrubs forest. So again, choking out anything below the shrub layer, it will outshade and outcompete for resources, water, nutrients, and the like, and so choking off our native species. And when the native plants go, then other species begin going along with them, right? So because insects are dependent on their native species, and then birds, other wildlife, dependent on the insects. So it's a kind of chain reaction. This is why on the first glance it can be like, oh, you're adding to biodiversity, but you're actually diminishing biodiversity over time.
Yes, and the interesting thing is when you remove these invasives, the world opens up again. You know,
Yes.
our natives go, I'm
Yes,
back. So,
that's right. You can get them out and then nature bounces back.
except
our
for
natives.
this guy here.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
This is my challenge
Yeah,
right now.
Japanese knotweed, and this one's one of several on the rise here. We're seeing it more and more. It's getting more evident along roadsides, but also in forest edges and wet areas in forests, and again, brought over in the horticulture trade. I hate to knock on the horticulture trade because I
Sorry.
love the horticulture trade, but you know, and you look at it and go, "What a cool looking plant!
Yeah.
I want one." Especially when you see it shooting out its sprays of white flowers. It's very dramatic, but then it takes over. So there's nothing to keep it in check, and that's, you know, one of the things when we bring things from elsewhere, we're liberating them from the predators and pathogens that would have kept them in balance with the wider natural community.
The restricting aspects of their community. Yes,
Right.
yes. But there is one that's, I'll say, easier to control than this one, because we're having challenges, and this is
Right, the garlic mustard.
garlic mustards.
Yeah. And so that one's, again, another forest understory species, and will create a dense early spring carpet of these wide leaves, again shading out everything below it, and that's one bad thing it does. It also disrupts soil chemistry because it's allelopathic, so it exudes its own natural herbicide that kills off the competition, and so it's altering the chemistry of the site, and it also tricks native butterflies into laying eggs on it, and then when the larvae hatch, they find they're not on their food plant and die. So multiple disruptions there to natural process.
Gosh, I don't want to hurry you long, but
Yeah,
I want to get to
that's
the
okay.
last three.
Yeah, so
This
this
one
one's
here.
another one on the rise. We're seeing this in more and more. It's about in 20% of the counties now, but we're getting more and more every year. This is lesser celandine or fig buttercup. It is in the buttercup family. Has a beautiful flower, right?
Yes.
But it likes wet places, and it creates, again, a dense. It just gets out of control and forms a dense patch, chokes everything else out.
And another one is its friend next door.
Then another lovely, you know, charismatic, lovely leaf, you know, and then an arum flower. Oh, this might be coming now, but again, in the horticulture trade, introduced. Who wouldn't want one? But if everyone keeps putting this in their yard, everyone's going to have one in their yard and in their parks and in their natural forests. It's spreading. Right now, it's known from 5 localities that we have records for, but again, I'm getting more and more reports of it popping up, and where it comes in, it again creates these dense carpets and chokes out the natives.
I think I'm going to dig mine up, but we
Yeah.
have less than a minute, and
Yeah.
let's go
So
to
this
the
is
grand
one
finale.
I want you to remember. This is wavy leaf grass, and it's relatively new. It only was introduced that we know of in 1999 in Maryland, in Virginia about 2006. It's now in 20 counties, and it invades undisturbed forest understory, carpets the ground layer, and it has these little seeds that exude their own little sticky glue that will attach to wildlife and get moved widely and rapidly. So we're now finding it down in New River Gorge, Southeast Virginia, getting quite around, very widespread, and again, potential change agent in these forests because it will suppress even tree recruitment.
That is a dangerous little plant there. And so, Kevin, I want to thank you for all this information. You've introduced us and made us aware of some of the things that we have out in our landscape that I, for one, am going to go rip out all the arum at Maymont in my house, but also to take some action on. So thank you.
Thank you.